Hi there, just another little update on the Colonial Viper Mark 1. It's really starting to move along now. Now I've got all the fiddly stuff done with both lighting the engines and lighting the internal, the inside of the cockpit. What I've done here is, on the last video you'd have seen the tests with the lighting and with the active screen. But what I've done is I've taken the decal from the kit and sandwiched it between two pieces of clear transparency, which gets you a little bit of protection so that the decal doesn't split as it dries in the future. So now not only have we got the little changing colours, but we've actually got a bit of a display there, and many of you will recognise you've got the three little enemy blips at the top of the screen, as though the guy here is heading into a spot of trouble. It's come out quite nicely because the way the light picks up on the actual graphic, I was quite pleased with the way that went. So the static lights all still stay the same colour, the screen changes, but you've got the decal as well to give it a bit more detail. Now it's all installed now, wiring comes out the back. I've actually now glued this together, so we're starting to worry about seam lines and joins and things. So that's the sort of front part of the fuselage. That's where we're up to. I'm just going to turn that off and disconnect the cable so we don't pull it off the desk. Okay, so that's the front half done. I've also had an interesting little thing to do with this. This is the front of the engine, is the intakes. Now basically the inside detail glues in at a certain level, so those three round parts just drop in and you glue them into place. And I noticed that where the glue went in, you could see a slight, ever so slight, ooh, it's very can you see it? You might just be able to see a slight crease down there and there. It's where the glue's reacted inside and either heated it or softened the plastic, and you've got and it's misshapen it slightly. This side was really extreme. In fact, you can see the line here, which I've filled, and then there was another one there. So basically, it's just like it collapses in. The actual side wall of the engine just literally formed a little sort of divot where the glue line is on the inside. In fact, the top one still needs a bit more filler. Bottom one's a bit better, but you can just see where that was. So it's an interesting thing to watch if you're making this kit. Maybe a bit too much glue in there, but certainly just watch those, because once those inside intakes are glued in, just check the outside for distortion. It's very slight on this side, but it was quite pronounced on the other side. You can actually see it that side as well. It was very pronounced that side. Okay, so what I've done here is, obviously we've got to think about how it's going to be mounted and where the wiring is going to go. So what I've done is I've put a little hole in the bulkhead here. That's quite a good little strengthening piece there, so you don't want to cut too much away. So the cables are going to come through that hole there, and then on the inside that basically is going to line up on here like so. And what I've done on the inside of this, I'll just pop that on loosely for now. I've glued in, I've cut some aluminium which I use for my stands. I've got two sizes, one that fits inside the other, and to try and keep all that rigidity and all that sort of structural integrity sound, I've brought the centre of gravity back slightly. CG would actually be probably about there, where the original slot was for the stand, but I've taken it back about 3/4 of an inch. And what I'll actually, to be honest, this is so sturdy and so strong that I can get away with it without doing too much. But what I might do is just when it all goes together, I might just put a little bit more weight, put a bit of epoxy on a little, I don't know, 2p piece or something, just to put a few extra grams at the back, just to help with the centre of gravity. But the other thing I plan to do is, where the mounting rod comes through, I'm going to put another big, there's a lot of glue around there, it's very solid, but I'm going to put another one, I'm going to pack it out quite quite thickly, so it's nice and strong. And what I've done is I've made sure that the glue goes just a little bit down on the inside of the tube, and what that does is it gives me a round, smooth edge that won't damage the wiring, because if you've got a sharp edge or a burr on that inside tube, you're just going to eventually cut through the wires and it's going to stop working. So yeah, so basically we've got all the pieces starting to come together now. We've got the front of the fuselage, which is going to go into those intakes. Cable's going to go through into the engine compartment. Cable's going to go down through the stand, and then the rear piece, of course, is the rear part of the engines, which are going to go through like so. And again, I'm going to have a little junction box inside here where all the cables are going to meet up, and I'm just going to take a positive and negative down through here into the stand. And that's going to be a telescopic type stand with the small tube inside the larger tube. Again, it's going to protect the wires. It also allows you to spin and move the model, rotate it on the stand. So we're starting to get into an area now where it's going to suddenly accelerate and go quite quickly. Plus, I'm able to spend more time on it now than I was. I just got the seam at the top of that to sort out. That's a seam at the bottom needs sorting out. The kit's a bit strange. You can use the same parts here if you have the landing gear up or down. But if you want to have it in flight mode, they don't fit very well. That's basically as good as it gets. So I might see if I can do a bit of styrene or something to go in there. I'll have a look at the screenshots of the ones on the TV, the models, just to see. I mean, they may have all been like that, I don't know, but I doubt that. I can't really leave those 4 holes. They're going to need filling or something, so I'll have a look at that. But we're getting there. More updates to come. Okay, this is the other half of the stand. It's a bit long at the moment. It'll be cut down, but basically what we have is 2 aluminium tubes, one smaller than the other, and the idea is that one sort of fits straight in there like so. It should be nice and flat and level, which it is, but what we can do, of course, is we can now just rotate that and have that whichever way we want it. And because the cables are going to go down the inside, not the outside tube, they're protected and they're not going to get injured between the 2 tubes. Okay, back again with some more updates. It's really starting to come together now. We've got the top fin there is just in place just to make sure everything lines up and fits alright. Front and basically the front of the fuselage, the engine intakes and the main engine parts are now all glued together. We've got our stand aluminium tube in the bottom. The grips there, I've only just glued the 2 halves together, so that's basically just holding it straight. I'm going to leave that for the rest of the day, make sure it glues properly. And if you look inside, we've got wiring that comes out from the cockpit lighting. We've got the tube for the stand comes up just short, just this side of the middle sort of midsection bulkhead there, and that's going to have a supply coming into it, and then there's going to be the engines here which are going to connect up with those, and then just the cable will just sort of go in there out of the way, and that's it. Depending on the fit, I might be able to leave this part as a loose, just a interference fit, so that the wiring is accessible should we need to do any repairs or modifications in the future, or I might have to glue it, but if I do, it'll be just lightly, so it can just be frozen and then unglued if need be. Little tip there, if you need to undo a model later on, pop it in the freezer. Anyway, that's basically where we are for now. Cockpit, which I spent quite a bit of time on, may even have bored you with, but quite pleased with the way that's come out, because we've now got, obviously when the pilot's in there you won't see the floor, but I do like the way the screen turned out, because we've now got some detail on that screen, and if you look really carefully, let's see if I can do a bit of clever zooming here. Ooh, no, focus, give it something to focus on. I can't focus. Okay. You're going to focus, there you go. There's even 3 enemy blips on the top of the radar screen there. So there's three Cylon raiders inbound. Now I know that the screen was black and white on the original series, but a little bit of license. I quite like the idea of they sort of green screen picks up the enemies, and then you've got perhaps, I don't know, different distance, so it goes to different colours, and then of course when they're on top of you it goes red, which is just a bit of an idea, but there you go. Probably just justifying all the time I spent on it. But there you go, so the inside's done, that's where we're up to. I'll do another little bit of additional video in a second. Actually, that's not for the Viper, that's for another thing that I've got on going on the side. But that's it on the Viper for now. Okay, this is our the other little bit of a model I've got going on in the sidelines here. It's not really that I'm building a model, I'm just assembling it. This is the Star Wars Build the Millennium Falcon. It's a replica of the 32-inch studio build. It's pretty well made actually. You've got basically you get the issues each week and you get a few parts on them. But I had a look at it. I was quite tempted. I've always loved the Falcon. But I got a first couple just to see how it was going to go together, and I was actually very, very impressed, because this is a serious bit of engineering gone on here. This is all die-cast aluminium, I think, this framework here, and basically everything is screwed in. You've got a it's going to be, the entire ship is going to be this metal skeleton underneath, and then just like you would build the real thing, with the plating, all the cladding and plating on top. The painting isn't brilliant. It's meant to be so that you can buy it and assemble it and it's ready to go, but there's little things that are wrong. The weathering's not terribly good. Some of those little pop marks where there's laser blasts aren't very good at all. They need doing a bit better. Some of the paint is too neat. You need to scratch little bits off to make it look a little bit more weathered. The quad cannon, fantastic bit of engineering, all metalwork. As what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 4 or 5 parts to this to put this together, and it's very well done. But it just comes as dull metal finish, no paint at all. So I've just primed it, and I'm going to paint it the same as it should be. So it's going to be basically the same colour as the surface of the Falcon, and then with a lot of charring and sort of carbon scoring on the end of the barrels, that sort of stuff. This is just part of the interior, because it's going to have move away, or rather pull away sections on the hull. I'm very impressed with this, mind you. There's not all the detail is in there. Some of the loose stuff is not in there at the moment, but there's a lot of detail in here. In fact, I'll take that off in a second. But it's all going to be lit up inside, and I'm going to do some additional lighting as well, because although this is going to be great as it comes, it needs a little bit of tweaking to make it better, I think. So, but anyway, I'm just going to put the camera down when I take that cockpit apart, and I'll show you the detail inside. Okay, so here's the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. As I say, there's not all of the pieces are in there at the moment, so that's just the basics, because some of the little bits are too loose just to put. This is all just held together at the moment, nothing's glued or fixed yet, but it gives you an idea of the detail inside there. And there's a little circuit board, actually it's not so little, behind the door, which is going to shine LEDs around that sort of horseshoe shape at the top, so all those controls will actually light up. In fact, you can see the back end of the circuit board there, and this is going to have some little connectors. But yeah, detail so far, I'm very impressed with it. Yes, it could be improved, but it's pretty good. Ask any guy who likes sci-fi, and probably anybody who likes sci-fi, the Falcon is always a bit of a favourite, isn't it? Very cool. That's the look from inside. It's actually quite big. That's how big it is. We can actually make it look like we're inside the thing. I say all of this is just interference fit at the moment, not glued, so you get an idea how it all goes together. But yeah, so far very impressed, and there's lots of additional bits and pieces. This is just the exterior detail just to go on the top of the cockpit here, and then you've got I don't know if you can see them in there, there's little silver things, little control levers for the cockpit itself, and then you've got there's a few more there, but they're not going in just yet. So anyway, back to the Viper. Well, we're in the garage at the moment, which is my sort of main workshop area. I had a massive clear out actually, getting rid of some of the stuff in here to make a bit of space. But just a little sort of pre-warning really. Anyone who's interested, you may remember the videos I've done before on K9 here. He's just awaiting some final little bits and pieces I'm doing for the actual K9 lettering on the other side, and then he's going to go up for sale. So I have had some interest, funnily enough, from pretty much all around the world on YouTube, but I think more realistically it would have to be somebody in the UK. Shipping would be a nightmare. He's full scale. Trying to keep him upright, he would need a massive crate, and the chances of him getting there in one piece would be pretty slim unless we spent an absolute fortune shipping him. So just to let anyone know actually who might be interested, at the moment he's fully working. He's got it'll come with the radio control, the battery chargers there for both the transmitter, receiver and the main battery, which is a 12 volt motorcycle battery. He moves along, goes left, right, forward, backwards. The head moves up and down as per the videos I showed you last year. Ears work in the correct way, eyes light up, the switches on the back all light up in sequence. The laser cannon is not installed at the moment, and the tail is not operational at the moment. It just needs a servo in there to give it a bit of a wag from side to side, which you can hook up to one of the spare channels. That's a 6-channel radio gear. Actually, while I'm also whetting appetites, I can't sell these on eBay because eBay's gone all crazy, but these are the United Cutlery brand's Lord of the Rings replica swords, full size. This is Underhill Flame of the West. Fantastic when you see it out of the box. This one, actually I'll get that one out another time. That's King Theoden's sword. I forget the name. And these are upside down. Those are Legolas's fighting knives, again full size. You can get the scabbards to go with them, and all of these swords come with the backing that you see there, the brown, the wood mount to hang them all on the wall. But I'll do a proper video and show you them in detail because they really are quite stunning. You can buy these from places like Battle Orders. And what I was going to do, these are second hand technically, so I was going to ask something like probably half the price that you could buy them at Battle Orders. So get in touch if you're interested. These can be shipped, certainly the two smaller ones. Big one, yeah, it can be shipped, but it's not going to be cheap because they're quite big and quite heavy. Or they can be picked up, but they've all been displayed for a short period of time, but they've spent most of their lives, as you see them, all boxed up. So there's the 3 of them there. I would put them on eBay, but you're not allowed, because they think we're all going to go and do stupid things with them, presumably. That's it. Obviously anyone only over 18s for the swords will be sensible, but they're for sale if anybody's interested. And he will be soon. And actually, so will most of those. So apart from the little R2, he's had a bit of sunlight damage. Actually, he was left out for a while, and the sun's got to him, so he's gone yellow on one side. probably just to see. So I don't suppose anybody would want him. Anyway, back to the Viper.